Hello and welcome to Scott Bryant on YouTube. Thank you for clicking on the video. And this video is all about shamanism, healing techniques and stuff that I've learned out of this awesome book, which a very, very good friend of mine gave me a few years ago. And I flicked through it, but didn't read it in depthly like I have now, because I'm studying with the Four Winds Society to become a master shaman, which takes 6 months of 15 hours a week, every week for 6 months. And I've got to work with so many people in which to get this qualification. Now, working with the shaman that I worked with before for 2 years, roughly on and off, there was lots of things that she taught me that Alberto Villoldo teaches in a much deeper way. So I decided to go on this journey of becoming a master shaman because I love it. I really enjoy working with people and helping them to really heal on a much deeper level, more deeper level than psychotherapy or talking therapy that people go and have, in my opinion, doesn't really work. But when you study this book, Shaman, Healer, Sage, How to Heal Yourself and Others with the Energies of Medicine of the Americas. So really, really good book. And the things that I've learned out of the book, which have been amazing, is the first process a shaman that is a Four Winds Society shaman will do illumination on you. And this illumination really balances all your chakras, and we can learn to find out where your key blockage is. And then blockages will give you signals in your brain where you may be more enlightened or more open, or you might have a blockage about yourself. So one woman had a blockage where she kept sleeping with lots of men and couldn't settle down. But then Alberto went back in her past lives and realized that she was raped and abused. And this was stuck in one of her chakras, which was making her sleep with multiple men all the time. So once he cleansed this energy and released it, she then got into a long-term relationship and her life was more normal. Does that make sense? So in the book, you learn about the illumination process. And with that, I'm opening up all the energy fields and then I'm dowsing on each energy field to find, or chakras, to find which one is blocked. So if it's in the lower part, which is where the snake is, not the snake in your pants, but the snake, that will be linked to tribal family association and sometimes rebirthing as well. So you may need to do a rebirthing ceremony with the shaman. Does that make sense? And then you've got a jaguar, which is a power animal that protects you and keeps you strong, as well as protects the medicine space when I open the Four Winds when I'm doing a session with a client. Does that make sense? And when I do it on my own. So when I'm opening up the Four Winds and I ask for Jaguar to be there, it's to protect the medicine space and stop anything from coming in that's going to disrupt the energy of what I'm doing. Does that make sense? So in the book, Alberto Villoldo talks about the 12 meridians which power up the body, and sometimes they can be blocked and be quite stagnant. So then there was a technique that to be able to feel the energies of the chakras, I can feel them like that, and I can feel them going around now, which I couldn't do before. And how you can do that is that you shake your hands 30 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Then once you've done that, you put your fingers together here. And then you do this. And if you can feel the energy between your hands, you're becoming a healer. Then as you do this, and if you can pull your hands apart and you can feel the energy, some people just say it's the heat of their hands when it's not. So I can feel the energy about here. So when I'm reading somebody and I'm putting my hands over their chakras here, if this one's here closer to the chest, then I know that's one that's blocked. Does that make sense? But if the energy is out here, then I know the energy is fine. Does that make sense? But using a dowser as well, here I've got one here, enables me to read it on another level. So if you look at that there, if I just hold it still, it doesn't move, right? But if I use a pie stone and put it in my hands, watch it as how it moves. Can you see it starting to spin clockwise? So it's reading the power of the pie stone. Can you see how fast it's going? And then I ask it to stop. So that's not me doing that, that's the energy in this, because we use this to power up different parts of the body, and using a crystal as well. So when using a crystal, then I'm holding a stone in my hand as well. So crystal in one, stone in the other. That's giving me signals about what's going on in the body. So by doing this and practicing it really regular and then doing that, enables you to get this, it's called the shaman's view. So you start to open up your hands to feeling stuff, yeah? Then once you've done that, then you start glazing in a mirror with a candle. And when you glaze in the mirror, that starts to help you to open up something in the brain which releases a part of the eye so you can see colours and you can see energy more on a deeper level. This is what the book talks about, and this is what I've got to practice for 6 months, even though I can feel it already, but I want to make sure that I'm sticking to the program 1000%. Now, the other interesting thing is that when doing extraction of entities, spirits, and entities, you can get affinity entities, and you can get entities of family members jumping into people's bodies when they die because they don't know that they're dead, okay, even though the body is dead. So they'll jump into the person because they haven't gone where they should go for whatever reason, because they didn't do I love yous or goodbyes to their family members. Now, the shaman that I was working with, she had one of these, this Vogel crystal, but it was broken. But she was still using it. And every time we worked together and we check each other for entities, because you've got to do that because you pick up stuff. Hopefully, I won't pick up anything because I'm super strong. So when you pick up an entity, it can really create havoc with your mind and how you're feeling. And if it's a family entity and your father, mother was a heavy drinker, or father, mother used to swear a lot, or you'll take on them traits. Does that make sense? So if the crystal is broken, so you can use, you don't have to use the Vogel, you can use another bigger crystal, which I've got on the windowsill, which is the lapis. So you can use different types of crystals. But if they're cracked or broken, and you get the entity or the spirit into the crystal and it's broken, it's not going into there. So it's released in the room, so it can jump into the shaman's bodies because it's not in a closed crystal. Does that make sense? So I realised this from reading the book, and Alberto Villoldo was saying that as well as we treat ourselves, we need to treat entities and spirit world the same. So you wouldn't treat it badly because you think it's a bad spirit. Does that make sense? You still treat it with love and compassion and making sure that your crystals are not broken. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're just releasing it into the room. Now, years and years ago, about 9 years ago now, I think it's about 9 years ago, I knew a practitioner that kept opening up the chakras and using a donga to put sound into the chakras, but not doing no ceremony, not opening up space, closing space. So what they were essentially doing was opening the chakra. So if there was an entity or a blockage, it would just go into the room and then go into their body. And that person ended up being chronically sick. And my eternal self was saying, it's your own fault because you're not being trained properly. And this person that they learnt it from, highly educated person, so I was quite surprised that they were just tapping on a tuning fork and then just, whirling around on the chakra and then taking a reading and asking the client if they felt all right. Knowing what I know now, I now understand why that person was really ill. Because they were taking on all these entities and energy. And the same as when I was seeing the other shaman, every time I'd come out of her home, I wouldn't feel different until 2 or 3 days later. But it wasn't always good. Does that make sense? And I think my internal self says, because I read that in that book, because this was broken. And she was really busy seeing lots and lots of people. So she was really, in my belief now, infecting other people constantly. And then Alberto Villoldo has said that Reiki, when it comes to the 9 rights and stuff, is not a good thing. Because the Reiki system will put a cord into the body that gives you a little bit of a buzz. But then it will put a draining cord into the body. And unless you see somebody that knows what they're doing, this will constantly be bleeding off your energy field. So Reiki is not a good idea. And I was cross-questioning that at first when they said it in one of the lectures that I did. And now I totally understand it. Okay, does that make sense? So remember, if you're attracting the same horrible partner that you don't really want to be with, you're attracting that affinity. You have an affinity with them. So if you have an affinity with them, I have to cut the cord. Then I have to do the illumination again, in which to heal that area so they don't come back to you. Does that make sense? So I had a cord cutting session with my old shaman. And when she did it, she said to me, when you do this, this person will never contact you again. And they might ring you to start off with, then they won't contact you again. And that's exactly what happened. Hand on heart, 100%. So this book is absolutely brilliant. Explains it at a much deeper level. And how to... you got 2 different techniques where you put your fingers, your 2 fingers, at the bottom of the occiput when they're laying down. And then when you want to get rid of something, you go lower down into the neck, okay? And then you can get them to stand up, put your left hand on the neck and left hand on the lower part of the spine, get the energy flowing up and down to feel if they've got an entity inside the system. Obviously, not normal people can do this that had not had this training. You have to be trained and you have to practice it and fine-tune it so you can feel these energies. Does that make sense? And in the book, it goes very in-depthly about that. And plus, he's got lots of case histories of people that he's worked with. So you get an idea what you're getting yourself into. And the thing is that negative energy only has power if you give it power. So you stay a strong shaman by never giving negative energy its power. Does that make sense? So that's what I love about that book. So then I've got some others of Alberto Villoldo's. And so that's Shaman Healer Sage. The next one is The Shaman's Miraculous Tools for Healing. Really good book. Then this one is The Munakai Abundance. There we go. This is all about the 9 rights, which I studied with a shaman in London. Then this one is the Masters of Living Energy. Here you go. And this is all about the illumination process, which all the Kero and the 9 rights. So the Keros are the shamans in Peru, but the 9 rights is the system that they're letting us use to heal the planet. And then you've got Mending the Past and Healing the Future with Soul Retrieval. And then you've got Dreaming, Courage into Dreaming, How the Shamans Dream the World into Being, all by Alberto Villoldo. And then we've got this one that I've got on audio, which I'm listening to in the daytime, which is Power Up Your Brain, the Neuroscience to Enlightenment. Now, if you take, 2,000 milligrams of DHA for 60 days, it powers up your brain, your memory improves, and it stops you from getting dementia or Alzheimer's disease as you age. So this is massive, isn't it? Because dementia and Alzheimer's disease is huge. My dad's got it, and I think he got that from heavy drinking all his life and having a stressful life as well. Do you know what I mean? And not really any exercise. So I believe if you do exercise, you have good fish oils and you eat clean, you should stop yourself from getting any of these diseases. So with the Shaman Healer Sage, this is one of the prerequisite books. And then the other one, Power Up Your Brain, is another prerequisite book in which to get me ready during my 6 months of study. Does that make sense? Now, doing this work, I had a client that come to see me, and she had just lost some family members in the last 2 years. And she was quite low, but I got her to hold one of my crystals. And she miraculously had, a massive release straight away, which was brilliant. And then we done the illumination, and then we did a fire ceremony. And this really, really helped her a lot. And this is what I love about it, is that there's no drugs involved. There's no ayahuasca involved. Nothing like that. I don't use anything like that. It's just using my love, my compassion, my energy, as well as using the archetypes of the snake, of the jaguar, of the hummingbird, of the eagle, and of the Mother Earth, as well as the power of the sun, moon, and sky. Does that make sense? And remember that the Kero shamans have been using this system for 500 years. And Alberto Villoldo said that when he went to the jungle, they had no word for disease. Cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's, all them different diseases they had no word for, because they didn't have it. And the same as if you read Pottinger's book of Physical Degeneration, you'll see that people that didn't have sugar had less and less disease. And now they're saying that if you have more than 1 glass of alcohol per week, you've got more chance of getting dementia and all these other illnesses of the brain. Does that make sense? So I'm on my journey of 6 months. I'm really, really enjoying. I'm practicing every single day. I'm feeling more and more as the days go on. Does that make sense? I can feel people's energy in the shop or anywhere that I'm at in public. So I do a ceremony when I get home to cleanse myself, to make sure I've not taken on any horrible stuff. We do have the bands of protection, which we can power up at any time. And I go invisible when I'm walking around. Sometimes I've ramped that up. Does that make sense? Or if I feel that somebody's trying to sabotage me, I ramp it up as well. Yeah, does that make sense? So I'm loving this process. It's been really excellent to go through these books again. And they've all got individual tips in. So one of them, how to power up your chakra, or to energize it or get it spinning the right way. Get a little rattle, go on your first, and just rattle in a circular motion 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's all powered up there, yeah? So you can do that. You can always open up your 8th chakra, where you put your hand on your heart, you breathe into your chest. And as you're breathing in, you bring the hands up and around, and you just open that up. So that's my halo bit opened up here. And then I put that over my client when I'm working with them, for them to go into like a trance-like state. And when we do breathing exercises, which is the 4-4-4, so you'd breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. This is one way to get you to go very parasympathetic, which is healing, nourishing, and rejuvenating the whole body. Does that make sense? But from a shaman point of view, some people might be a bit nervous, don't know what's going to happen, feel a bit freaked out by it. By getting them to breathe at my rate, doing the 4-4-4 breaths, we start to come into communion with each other. Does that make sense? And I can feel their energy, and hopefully they can feel my wonderful, loving energy, where we're going to go on this journey together. Does that make sense? So I hope you've enjoyed this video, showed you some books. If you want to comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to come for a treatment, then let me know. I do everything with love and compassion, and it's all about helping you on your journey. I don't fix you. I do not fix you. You fix yourself. I show you the tools that you need in which to get healthier, more abundant, out of pain. There's another thing that we do is that when you're in pain, we do a dowsing thing where we go around the body looking for the pain. So we go around the body, and if there's any pain, the crystal will go in a wider spin. Does that make sense? And if there's pain, it could have been a dagger or a dart sent to you by an ex-loved one, or somebody that hates you, or could have come into your energy field a long time ago. Say you've had knee pain or shoulder. Alberto Villoldo had a spear put in his shoulder from somebody that didn't like him, and it wasn't till he was in class with another doctor that the doctor said, Alberto, you know, see you've got something, let's work it out. And he pulled the thing out of his shoulder, and he didn't have to have an operation on his shoulder, which was already booked.